Okay, guys, for fans, this is the Subway Museum. This is how we shots of the subway look like. High explosives, dangerous. Work. This is where the sandhogs worked. It's a typical sandhog digging all the tunnels. Here's some other photos of tunnels as they were digging out the subway. Now the noise you hear in the background is children. All the school children come here. The museum director's feeling here is that if children come when they're young to a museum, they'll start to love museums. And turn goal as many children here as possible. They like children. It's a lot of things for kids to do. They've designed primarily for school kids. They're the prime customers. There's a lot of normal people there today, too. This is an actual subway station. It was decommissioned. It was the HH line. It ran about 3 miles. They used it from 1946 to 1936, and they just decommissioned it. And in 1976, this was turned into a museum. Now we'll hear some children's noise. I love children. They love to play with turnstiles too, so do I. Let's test the turnstile. When I first rode on a subway, I was with my father, and he took me to, we were going to the boat show in the New York Coliseum. I was probably 7 or 8 years of age, and we parked our car in Queens because my father was very frugal, more so than I am. And that's what a subway person looked like years ago. And this is the Boehm Place in Court Street. So, subway tokens were, and when I started riding in subways, 20 cents. They look like a little small dime, but they're made of brass or copper, and they had a hole in the center. That's what subway tokens look like. Prior to that, when they started the subway system in 1904, it was a nickel. There were originally 3 subway companies. You might be able to tell that here from looking at this chart. There was on the left side of Manhattan, you had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trains. Those were the independent line. And then the IRT, rather, Independent Rapid Transit. Then out in Queens, you had the Queens lines. That's the BMG and all the letter of the alphabet trains that go down to Brooklyn and points east. That's the Brooklyn Manhattan Transit was another line. So the 3 separate trains, and was the IRT had the narrowest, the smallest cars. They were only 50 foot long. And the BMT had the biggest cars. They were 63 feet long. Here's some models of some trains. I think eventually we're actually going to be able to go into a train and check it out. How about that? Here's where the drivers stand and drive a subway.
Because I don't know how long the bus ride is.
That's how you made the train go. You turn this. There used to be a spring on it, so it stopped. This is stop position, and as you want to accelerate, you turn it this way. It's really just a rheostat, which would increase the voltage going to the motors, because it's an electrically driven train.
Close the door behind you.
Now we do our pictures. This is a room. I don't know what's in there.
Well, be careful.
I climbed it. I climbed it.
So, guys, you can do this. You have to stay in there. I can help you.
This is a room they use, I guess, for children to give lectures. It looks very children friendly. These are the original trolleys. Before they had trains, they had trolleys. Trolleys were actually on the street. And this is a bus. MTA bus. I know the MTA bus. You see what I'm doing, kid friendly. Kids love getting buses and pretending it's all really great. Lots of field trips here for kids. Lots of room. You wouldn't feel crowded in here. Now we have a collection of the old signs, IND trains, independent subway system, and then the IRT, Borough Rapid Transit Company. Most people don't even remember these things. There's the Broadway system, which was the Brooklyn Manhattan Transit. These started all as 3 privately owned companies. They made their money as a private company. They weren't owned by the public until I think 1940, when they were taken over by the city. This is an education center where I guess they can bring kids in to do coloring and things of that nature, which looks nice. Some warning signs. One thing my father says, never go to the bathrooms in a subway. That was my early training. Transit exhibit opened in 1976, the U.S. Bicentennial. December 23rd, 1946, all-time record was set for 8 million passengers riding the subway and elevated trains. How about that? That's a lot of folk. Let's go down and one level down. I think we can see some real subway trains. Let's go check that out.
Are there people sitting in the bathroom in your group?
Teachers. God bless them. And the patience they have. Now we're going to go down and look at some old trains. Does that sound exciting to you? It sounds exciting to me. That teacher has a very loud voice. I wouldn't want to make her mad. And they look like they're 7 and 8. I'd be afraid of her myself if I was 7 and 8. And some of these trains are really old. Let's check them out. Funny thing is, kids, I'm old enough to remember these cars. These are cars they had in 1930. And they were painted this OD, olive drab, like a military thing. And they were made of these straw, they call them rattan seats. Actually, they're more comfortable than the current subway seats, which are hard. But at some point in time, people started taking knives and cutting up these seats and damaging them. It became expensive to repair. And just for the fun of it, one of the fun things to do here in this museum is look at the old ads, because these are actual ads that were here when this subway was in effect. Now, this subway was in 1930. Polishing your shoes, grape nuts, peerless flavor, crispy crackers from Sunshine. Many of these have survived, and they're still famous brands. Some sort of medical oil or something. And going to Rye Beach. I've been to Rye Beach on the other side of the Long Island Sound. I take my boat over there when I was a kid. Campbell's Famous Chefs. 1930s is about when they came out with the soups. 12 cents each for a can of soup. How about that? Prior to that, people made their own soup. Now they're buying it from Campbell's, already made. And this is a collar, the Arrow Hit Gothic collar, popular in the 30s. How about that? And another brand we all know, Ivory Soap. They're still around too. Heinz mayonnaise. They're still around, going strong. Butternut bread, not so much. And there's Royal Baking Powder. That can looks familiar to me. 3-in-1 oil. My mother used to use something called Crisco, which is some sort of can of fat you didn't have to refrigerate. I hate to think what was in that can. Crispy crackers again. Campbell's soups. Heinz spaghetti. Heinz company was around too. They started with ketchup in the 1860s. Ketchup was used to cover up the bad taste of meat that was on its way 2 or 3 days older than it should be. Travel service. Wrigley's Spearmint was around in the 30s. United Biscuit, never heard of them. Not anymore. Simdak, they're not around, I don't think. Campbell's made it good. Griffin liquid wax, only 15 cents. No rubbing, easy to apply. Wax your shoes. Lux, that's still around to wash your stockings. Crispy crackers. Wrigley's again. Isn't this cool? So this is a 1930 subway. Some of them are even older than this. This is 48. Let's go down and see if they're getting older or newer as we walk down the road here. Remember, this started in 1904, I believe. Some of these subways, by the way, they use once or twice a year in the summertime. They will happily take you down to the beach. At the end of the run, you go down to either Brighton Beach or some of the other beaches in the area, and you're at the ocean, and they take you right down there. Let's see how old this one is. Now, this is the undercarriage, which is actually the electric motor that ran the trains. They actually, I'm told, This engine hasn't changed much. Basically, essentially the same thing. And here's where it would pick up the current from the third rail. This is a replica of a third rail. Had a very, like a 2x10 on top of it. So if you walked on it or stepped on it, that's what you're supposed to do, step on that heavy wood to avoid electrocution. The rail has 700 volts DC. You literally turn black if you come in contact with that rail. It basically cooks you. Here's all the connections for it and how it regulated different speeds by giving different amounts of current. But this was what powered the train. Interesting. Here's the first one, the BRT Brooklyn Elevated Rail Car. This is car number 1273, 1904 to 1905. Let's take a look at it. See what it looks like. This is probably the first subway car. This was 1904. They dressed differently. Now they see these seats that were like traditional railroad seats. If you're traveling a long distance on the subway, you take those. If you're traveling just a short distance, you take one of the regular bench type seats. They are still, by the way, way more comfortable than the current subway seats, I can tell. I use the subways all the time. Today it's more than the 20 cents that my father paid. Now they're getting $2.90. Drive anywhere, you can stay anywhere you want, go anywhere you want for $2.90. Now this is how you cross the subways. Reaches have gotten more sophisticated. And you literally can walk on the trains, go to car as you're moving along. This car seems narrow to me. Oyster crackers, I remember those. Rinso, I think that's still around. This is Court Street they're at, Brooklyn. Let's see if we look at some other cars. Are these cool cars? They are cool cars. This car is a 1908 car that was rebuilt in 1938. Once again, the same rattan covered seats. But they bring these cars out and actually have them run. They're still connected. By the way, I'd say the third rail down there is still active with juice. I wouldn't go near it. See how in these older cars, this is 1917, just use regular light bulbs as lighting. No attempt to conceal it. They're really proud of the fact that they had light bulbs. This is some sort of a, car that literally pulls other cars. Yeah. Unfortunately, oh, I see. Yeah. All year during the game, I've never really seen. Okay, that's a BMT car. Now, BMT cars are bigger. Their BMT cars are 60 feet long and 10 feet wide. The IRT cars are smaller and narrower, still to this day. It may have something to do with track size, but I'm not sure. Here's the map that was in effect when this train was being used. And it's a more modern train. What do we have here? This is, see if there's dates on any of these things. Any of these ads? Railroad clerk, $5.70 an hour. 1979. Miss Subways. There's the ladies who are competing to be Miss Subway. This is a 1979 car. This is what I'm used to riding on. When I was going to law school, this is the kind of subways we had. And the seats are not as comfortable as the old seats. You're sitting on a piece of plastic, basically. Isn't that cute? Now, this is an older train, but see how dimly lit it was? In 1916, this is a BRT. Standard car. In Berwick, Pennsylvania was made. That's in northeast Pennsylvania. And I rode in cars like this, by the way. They still have them in service. They have what looks like a linoleum floor. Once again, the rattan seats. It was thought that would, when it was hot, these trains weren't air conditioned. See the fan up top? That's the only air conditioning these trains had. And see how small the light bulbs are and the low wattage they have? So you're basically riding sort of a darkened train. But this looks also like a wide train, like it was a BMT or one of the Queens lines.
It's very quiet how those kids got downstairs, right? Very quiet. Uh-oh. Bird? My goodness. This is a lot of trees. A lot.
Here's another one. Some of what we see. See the wear there? They wear out like that. That's why they went to plastic. Plastic so lasts forever and doesn't wear out as much. Now, they take these trains out to the beach 2 times a year. And when they do it, they charge the same fare as a regular subway trip. And they leave from here and go all the way to the beaches. Miss, when do they take these trains out to the beach? Miss? They have, once a year I heard they take these trains out to the beach.
Out to the beach, I'm not sure when the next nostalgia ride is.
When is it? We've had them in the past, though.
I believe we have had them in the past.
And you charge the same thing as a regular subway ride, right?
Yes, it is the same. Yeah.
So you don't know when the next one is, though?
Not to the beach.
Okay, thank you. No, this is a little newer. That's built in 47. Still using the rattan. Now this is the interesting picture to look at. This was the first subway station. It was at in New York. It was the station they had under the municipal building, and they actually put chandeliers in it and a beautiful ceiling and made it look really nice. I've heard that in Moscow, a lot of the stations are decorated in that way. That almost looks like a modern train, doesn't it? All right. So I hope you've enjoyed it. You see they have a lot of trains here to look at. And I got in as a senior for $5. It's relatively inexpensive. I think it may be $6 for everybody else. So it's a fun place to stop. Let's take a look at the gift shop, see what they sell. Now we're exiting. When you exit, you can't go back in. We've exited fine. Hi, how you doing? And here they have memorabilia. They also have a gift shop for the New York Transit Museum in Grand Central Terminal as well. You get little model subways, little cars, lots of subway themed gifts. Thomas the Train. Anyone who's interested in trains, Lionel Train's 1,000 piece puzzle. How long was the bags, wraps, t-shirts. Push. Pardon me. So, sir, can you tell me when the next nostalgia ride is?
Yes.
And
So
where's it going?
I know. So they're doing it for the start of baseball season. They're going to do one up to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx and one to
From
City Hall
here?
in Queens. Not from here.
Where does it leave from?
So I know the one for Citi Field is going to be leaving from 34th Street Hudson Yards on this Saturday.
Okay.
And I am pulling up the website so I can tell you exactly where the
Good.
Yankees want to start.
Don't they have one that goes to the beach in the summertime?
Yes. They haven't announced that one yet.
Okay.
Nostalgia rides.
Just checking the website. And they charge the same fee as a regular subway fare, right?
That's right. So you just have to swipe to enter the station, but they're not going to charge you to get on the train.
Got you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, of course. It's pulling up right now.
Okay.
Departs from the Uptown 4 train platform at Grand Central 42nd Street and runs non-stop to 161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Wonderful. Thank you. Pardon me?
Do you want the dates?
Yes, what dates?
Okay, so the Yankees one is going to be Thursday, March 27th, and the train's going to be leaving Grand Central at noon,
Cool.
12 Eastern. For the Mets one, Friday, April 4th,
Right?
and the train will be leaving 34th Street, Hudson Yards at noon as well, and it'll make a couple stops along the 7th.
Great. Thank you, sir. All right, well, folks, Gary's tour fans, this will conclude our tour of the New York City Transit Museum. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and like. Thank you for watching. By the way, we're having a trip to Harlem next April 2026. It's going to be a 9-day tour of Ireland, the southern part of Ireland, and the western counties of Ireland, from Dublin and points south. And we're going to also go and visit the houses where a show called Bad Sisters was filmed. So you'll be able to see the houses and some of the sites and bars where this film took place. It was a TV show on Apple TV. Many of you, I'm sure, watched it. So enjoy your day. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.